Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all, back with some more boxing talk. Let's talk Manny Pacquiao. This is a video I wanted to do a couple of weeks ago after seeing this interview that Manny Pacquiao he did in the Philippines. But recently there was some more news where Manny Pacquiao just spoke on Errol Spence as a fighter, and his promoter had some words about him too. So I just wanted to add that to the video as well, because my main topic of the video, I just feel like right now Manny Pacquiao, if he's not going to be fighting legit competition, I think that he should just give up the WBA belt at this point in his career. I feel like he doesn't really have anything to prove, so he just needs to kind of give that belt up. And my reasons for that were really solidified, in this interview that I seen Manny Pacquiao do in the Philippines, where he was talking to this reporter, and she talked about his career in the Senate, but she brought up his boxing career and some potential opponents for him. And she was a pretty good reporter at it. She was really digging, trying to find out who he wanted, who would be next, and why. She was really asking, like, so will so-and-so be next? But the potential opponents she named, of course, she named Conor McGregor, Terrence Bud Crawford, and Errol Spence Jr. And right away, Manny Pacquiao, he said he'd rather fight Conor McGregor out of those three fighters. And, the reason why he said he wanted to fight a MMA fighter. He's never experienced fighting an MMA fighter before. But my thoughts on that right there, that statement is, if he really wanted to experience fighting an MMA fighter, he would go to the octagon. Because, Conor McGregor is actually going to be coming to the boxing ring, so you're still not really getting the full experience of fighting an MMA fighter, right? But with that being said, my thoughts on the fight, if he wants that fight, fine. I'm cool with that 100%. Let Manny fight Conor McGregor whenever in the summer, whenever they want to do in 2021, fine. But if he's going to do that, if he's going to fight Conor McGregor at this point in his career, he has to give up that WBA belt. He's won the WBA belt back in July of 2019. Yeah, back in July of 2019 against Keith Thurman. And since then, he hasn't defended the belt. He's had it going on almost 2 years now. So if he's not going to defend that belt against legit competition or unify with a Bud or a Spence at this point, and he wants a big money type fight with a guy like Conor McGregor, then he should just give that belt up. Because again, I'm fine with that fight because Manny Pacquiao's already done it time and time again. He's proven himself. He's 42 years old. I understand where he's coming from at this point. He's an 8-time world champion. He has to make up for lost time, especially financially, not, like lost time as far as fights, but lost time is, financially, he wants to get those big bags at this point, at the tail end of his career, so that makes sense. So if you want to go that route, fine. If you go the entertainment route, fine. Floyd's doing it with the Logan Paul type sideshow fights, and even the Japanese fighter before that, those type of little money grabs is fine. I think Manny Pacquiao is kind of like that at this point in his career. He doesn't really have to put it on the line against Bud or Spence, in my opinion. It'd be a nice fight if he wanted to unify and become undisputed with these guys like, Bud and Spence, but he's not really talking with that type of flame anymore. He's not really talking with that type of flame like he wants all the belts. He just wants money fights. So if you want money fights, leave the belts alone and just go for the Conor McGregor fight, because these guys over here that need to prove themselves, like Spence and Crawford, they're willing to fight for that WBA belt. They still need to fight for it and prove themselves and clean a division out or two. You know what I mean? So let that belt go and just let them fight for it. So I just feel like at this point of Manny's career, he has to make that choice. Does he still want to run with the elite, or does he just want to, get cash grabs, against, these like entertainment type fighters? Either way is fine for me, but you got to do it at this point. And I'm saying that now with Manny because I want to see somebody become undisputed. And if you're not going to do that, vacate it. And then on this side, I'm not necessarily going to watch the Conor McGregor fight, but I feel like, hey, if that's going to help him out financially, then fine. But just don't tie that in with the welterweights like Spence and Crawford and Sean Porter and Danny Garcia and these guys, especially if you're not going to go for these guys at this point in the beginning of 2021, And with that being said, it just shows me that, he's really not interested in the Errol Spence fight, because he was kind of talking, I won't say he was tearing him down, but he's kind of discrediting the Errol a little bit, like the fight's not going to be competitive, or it's like maybe like a fight that he feels like Errol's not on his level, because he went up as far as to say Errol Spence is too slow for him, or too slow or slower than Keith Thurman. You know, he was just saying he's a slower fighter. But, in a technical standpoint, speed isn't everything. It's all about timing. And, I think all around, Errol Spence is a much more well-rounded fighter than Keith Thurman. Yeah, he's faster, but who's got better timing? Who's got better punching power? Who's physically stronger? Who's much more disciplined in there? Who has better balance? You're looking at Errol Spence, right? So when you start looking at all that, all those goods minus the speed, he's still good competition for Manny Pacquiao. If Manny Pacquiao wants to go that route eventually, he still is good competition for him. And I think that Manny knows that. That's why he wants the safe fight. He wants the low risk, high reward fight in Conor McGregor. He still wants that fight for that reason. Because if Errol Spence is that type of slower fighter, then he would eventually be fighting him first, right? He'd eventually be fighting him next, but he's not. And, also another thing that I disagree with, Manny Pacquiao's promoter said that Errol Spence Jr. is not the same after the car accident. He's trying to say he lost a step, but I mean, Errol Spence came back after 15 months off, dominated Danny Garcia, something Sean Porter in the fashion that Sean Porter and Keith Thurman couldn't do. Does that look like a guy who's lost a step? If anything, Errol Spence actually looked much more disciplined, sharper, and stronger. He actually looked a lot better in some ways. I mean, he beat Danny Garcia up. He out-jabbed him, out-strengthened him, just beat him up. Keith Thurman and Sean Porter in their primes couldn't do that. This guy came off a 15-month horrific car accident 15 months later, and was always on weight, and he looked good. So again, I think it's just a way of kind of talking that fight down, talking them ways out of it. But I'm cool with that. But if you're going to do that, you got to give up that belt. And that's the main purpose of this video. It's just I feel like Manny Pacquiao, has to get himself out of that welterweight mix if he wants to include himself with the Conor McGregors and those type of fights, But on a fight type schedule look, maybe Manny Pacquiao was just trying to stir up the pot with a guy like Errol Spence. I don't know. Maybe he's going for that 2-fight schedule like he did in 2019. Is that possible? How he fought Adrian Broner and then he fought Keith Thurman for the belt. I mean, that's still a possibility. I mean, wishful thinking, hopefully he's going to fight Conor McGregor and then fight Errol Spence next. Maybe he's trying to go that route. Who knows, right? Because I think he still has to fulfill the fight contract with the PBC since he signed with them, right? I don't know how many more fights he has, but since he signed, I know he still has some fights. And I don't know if this Conor McGregor fight is going to be tied to the PBC contract or what, but that's a possibility too. So going back to January 2019, he fought Adrian Broner like January, February. Then he came back in July and fought Keith Thurman for the belt. So maybe he's trying to get back on that type of fight schedule. But as you know, Conor McGregor, he has a rematch coming up in a couple of weeks against Dustin Poirier. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Dustin Poirier. Yeah, he has that fight coming up January 23rd. So Conor probably won't be ready for a fight with Manny or potential fight with Manny till the summer. So that's going to kind of throw off the fight schedule for a Spence Pacquiao fight or even a McGregor Pacquiao fight, So I don't know what's going on here. It just kind of confuses it a little bit more. So I just feel like right now, if Manny does want to go the Conor McGregor route, the entertainment fight, just do that, but vacate the belt so these other welterweights can fight for undisputed eventually. But yeah, man, that's all I got on this, guys. In the comment section, let me know what y'all think of this fight. Do y'all want to see Manny fight Conor McGregor? And if he does, should he vacate the WBA belt? And do you agree with the things Manny Pacquiao said about Errol Spence? Is he slow? Or like his promoter said, did he lose a step since the car accident? Let me know, guys. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.